Good morning, Kasturians. In this video, we will continue with our chapter Education and British Rule. So let's start. It was the Charter Act of 1833, according to which the provision for a sum of rupees 1 lakh was to be spent annually for spreading education in India was made. But what will be the nature of education, whether it will be modern Western studies or traditional Indian learning, or what would be the medium of instruction, English or the vernacular, that is the language of the common people. These issues were still not resolved, and ultimately in 1835 English Education Act was passed, and it was decided that the money allotted for education would be spent on promoting Western education through English language as the medium. Thus, the Oriental institutions were stopped, supported by the government. Then in 1854, the East India Company it sent an educational dispatch to India, which came to be known as the Woods Dispatch, in which the value of Western learning was emphasized, and the main benefits which were outlined in this were: Western education would enable Indians to realize the advantages of expanding trade and commerce, and it will expose Indians to the Western lifestyle, and it will create in India a demand for British goods. A continuous supply of people to work at lower level who were skilled at administration will be there because of this, and thus the company's money will be saved, as company would no longer dependent on employing Englishmen. So the salaries which would have been paid, the high salaries which would have been paid to the Englishmen will be saved, and since the people they will be dependent on Britishers for their job, this make the Indians loyal towards the British, and they would want the British rule to continue. So that's what the Woods Dispatch it emphasized the education as a main tool. The comprehensive scheme of promoting education, according to Woods Dispatch, was it made a provision for spreading education from primary up to university level, and the schools and colleges and universities they were to be set up in 1857. The universities at Calcutta, Bombay and Madras residencies were set up. The instruction medium up to the primary level was to be vernacular, while at the higher levels it would be English only. The education departments were to be set up in all the provinces, and they were to supervise education and provide financial aid to the educational institutions in the province, and the teachers recruitment and training institutions were to be set up all over the country. Although the advancement in education was made during the British influence, but still the education was having certain flaws under the British. The major flaws in the educational system under the British were: mass education was neglected by the British. Only a few primary schools who were lacking lack of funds, who suffered from lack of funds, were there, and the British thought of educating a few Indians from the upper and middle classes was wrong, and it was actually paving way for the education of the masses, and that's why the handful of Indians, they were expected to educate the masses and spread modern ideas. This ideology of British came to be known as the downward filtration theory, and it was named so because education was expected to filter downwards, which became a failure. The girl education was totally neglected, and as a result, till 1921 only 2 out of Indian women they were able to read and write. Scientific and technical education was virtually non-existent. So these were the major flaws in the education under the British. But not only the British, certain Indian reformers, especially the social reformers who used to fight for the social causes, they wanted to further education, and the reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Swami Vivekananda and Swami Dayanand Saraswati, they set up schools and institutions for higher learning, and they believed that without education the reforms in the society were difficult to be brought. So let's have a look at some of these reforms. First is in Aligarh, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, he felt the need of modern education for Muslims, and that's why he set up many schools and he translated many scientific works into Urdu. And he set up the Mohammedan Anglo Oriental College in Aligarh, which is now known as the Aligarh Muslim University. And he set up this college where education in science, humanities and technical subjects was imparted to students in English medium. In the state of Baroda, Maharaji Sayaji Rao, he promoted education and set up many schools and provided funds for the upkeep of the schools, and Maharaja Sayaji Rao University was also set up there. Apart from these social reformers, those Indians who had a far impacting approach and who were enlightened enough, they also played a leading role in the spread of education, and they urged government to spend more on education and to open more schools and colleges. A system of national education was to be set up according to their wish that would be very different from the one set up by the British. And two leaders, especially to mention Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore, they were primarily associated with this cause. Mahatma Gandhi was against the Western education. Why? Because such an education was not rooted in reality, and for this he wanted that a system of education which is more practical and which can provide knowledge more than learning from books was required, and all the students they should learn a craft to become self sufficient and develop a sense of dignity for labor, which will ultimately lead to the development of the body, mind and soul. This was Gandhiji's scheme of Nai Talim. Similarly, Rabindranath Tagore was also another advocate of education, and he established the Vishwa Bharati University at Shanti Niketan, and he wanted the best elements of Western and Indian educational systems to get combined, and the students at Shanti Niketan were taught art, music, dance and other courses in science and technology. Many Indians they also wanted that the science departments or the departments of science should be set up in the national universities, and scientific societies were created or were set up to popularize science. Like Mahendra Lal Sirkar, he founded the Indian Association for Cultivation of Science in 1876 at Calcutta, which became a premier organization for promotion and popularization of science. On the same hand, in 1920, the Indian Science Congress Association was set up, and in this, scientists from different parts of country they assembled at its sessions and they exchanged their views. Scientists like Dr. C.V. Raman, Dr. J.C. Bose, Dr. S.N. Bose, and Meghnad Saha and Birbal Sahni, they used to assemble and exchange their views in the Indian Science Congress Association. That's all we have in this chapter. Thank you and have a nice day.